Our objective today is absolute value comparing and ordering numbers. Definitions. Absolute value is a number's distance from zero on a number line. Inequality is a math sentence that compare the values of two expressions using an inequality symbol, greater than, less than, and equal to. VIC number 1. Distance can never be negative. Absolute value will always be described as a positive value. Absolute value of 6. 6 is 6 units away from 0. Therefore, the absolute value of 6 is 6. The absolute value of negative 4 is 4 because negative 4 is 4 units away from 0. The absolute value of negative 4 3/10 is 4 3/10 because negative 4 3/10 is 4 3/10 away from 0. Number 4, we have a full expression. You need to solve inside the absolute value bars first. So 3 plus a negative 2 gives me 1. The absolute value of 1 is 1, and 5 plus 1 gives us 6. Number 5, we solve the absolute values first. So the absolute value of 20 is 20, plus the absolute value of negative 10. The absolute value of negative 10 is 10, and 20 plus 10 gives us 30. In number 6, we have the absolute value of negative 6 plus a negative 2 plus the absolute value of 3. Well, we need to solve the inside first. So you have the absolute value of negative 8 because negative 6 plus a negative 2 gives me a negative 8 plus the absolute value of 3. The absolute value of negative 8 is 8 and the absolute value of 3 is 3. When you add these together, you get the answer to be 11. When we are ordering and comparing numbers, we are writing them from greatest to least, least to greatest. We're comparing them or putting them in a certain order. This first one we're going to order from greatest to least. Our numbers are 2/5, 1/2, and 2/3. When you have fractions, the first thing you should do is change them to decimals. So 2/5 is the same thing as 4/10, 1/2 is the same thing as 5/10, and 2/3 is the same thing as 6/10 repeating. Once I have these in decimal form, I write them in order. 6/10 repeating is bigger than 5/10, which is larger than 4/10. Then I convert them back to our fractions. So our answer is 2/3 is greater than 1/2, which is greater than 2/5. The second one we have from least to greatest. Here we have fractions and decimals. We're going to change the fraction to a decimal, which you see right here. Now we're going to compare them to determine which one's the largest number, which one's the smallest, and which one falls in the middle. As you can see, the tenths place, they're all the same, so we need to continue to go to the different place values till we see a difference. In the hundredths place, we see all 3s. When we get to the thousandths place, we notice there's nothing here because that decimal has terminated, so we could also say this is a 0. So this is going to represent our least or our smallest number. The other two values are the same, so we need to now go to the 10,000ths place where we can see this has a 3 and this one has a 0. So then therefore 3 is larger than 0, so this is the second, the one in the middle, and then this is the greatest. So we rewrite these 0.63, 0.636, and 0.6363, and it continues to go on. I rewrite this from the original, so our answer, our least, or our smallest number is 0.63, our middle is 0.636, and our largest number is 7/11. We can also use inequalities, the greater than sign, the less than sign, or the equal to compare two numbers. We have 2/3 is greater than 1/6. Like in the slide before, we need to change these to decimals to help us see. Well, 2/3 is 6/10 repeating, and 1/6 is 0.16 repeating. I look at the tenths place. Well, 6 is greater than 1, So 2/3 is greater than 1/6. Number 2, we have 15/8 is greater than 1 6/8. I change this to a decimal. 15/8 is 1.875, and 1 6/8 is 1 75/100. We look at the first decimal place. Well, 8 is greater than 7, so 15/8 is greater than 1 6/8. Here we say that 3/5 is equal to 6/10. Well, we need to find out what 3/10 is as a decimal. Well, 3/10 is 6/10, which is equivalent to the 6/10 on the other side. Number 4, negative 2/3 is less than a negative 1/6. Well, negative 2/3 is a negative 6 repeating, and negative 1/6 is a negative 0.16 repeating. This number is smaller because it is farther away from 0, so therefore negative 2/3 is smaller than negative 1/6.